Stunning is the only word that comes to mind. According to the Financial Times, Saudi Arabia, the crown kings of oil, have set in motion a truly incredible plan. A plan to drastically cut their use of crude, starting immediately. Khalid Al-Falih, CEO of Saudi Aramco, Saudi Arabia's state-run giant, says, "Our goal is to reduce to the maximum extent possible the utilization of oil." And that's not just talk. Backing it up is a $130 billion investment from the Saudi royal family, a $130 billion earmark, more than Exxon's net income for the last 3 years combined, to make the switch. The switch to what exactly? What could possibly make the world's richest state cut down on crude? That's where it really gets good. Amy Myers Jaffe, the Wallace S. Wilson Fellow for Energy Studies at Rice University, puts it this way: "I have been studying the energy markets for 30 years, and I am convinced that this will revolutionize the industry and change the world in the coming decades. It will prevent the rise of any new cartels. It will alter geopolitics." What she's talking about is an energy breakthrough so extraordinary, experts the world over have christened it nothing short of a miracle. Chesapeake Energy CEO Aubrey McClellan says, "It's almost divine intervention. Right at the time oil prices are skyrocketing, we're struggling with the economy, we're concerned about global warming, and national security threats remain intense. We wake up and we've got this." Daniel Yergin, chairman of the IHS Cambridge Energy Research Associates, calls it the biggest energy innovation of the decade. John Pinkerton, chairman of Range Resources, says it's a paradigm shift for our sector. And Tony Hayward, former CEO of BP, adds, "It probably transforms the energy outlook for the next 100 years. That's just a half of it. In the years to come, this new energy source will not only change the world as we know it, it will, like all great technological advances, give investors the chance to become incredibly rich. Because if the Saudis' big move means nothing else, it's the ultimate validation of the work of an elite group of U.S. energy firms. A group that, as a whole, could turn one small investment today into an absolute fortune. In the past few months alone, some of these firms have shot up 100%, 200%, or more. But as you'll see, this trend is just getting started. There's a lot to this story, so let me get right into the details. CNN called it the fuel of the future. As you can imagine, it's probably not by choice that the Saudis are making the switch. With the largest, cheapest supply of oil in the world, they've built their empire on it alone. And no, the oil's not running out. Not for the Saudis anyway. But for everyone outside of OPEC, oil supplies are getting harder and more expensive to find. And most of the promising untapped fields are in risky or politically impossible places like Iran and Iraq. Big Oil has seen the writing on the wall for quite some time. And for years, they've been trying to develop a reasonable alternative. It might surprise you, but Shell has been slowly switching out of oil for decades. Today, it comprises less than half of their assets. You see, I've been researching and writing about new energy technologies for years. I'm sure you've heard the case for wind, solar, even geothermal. But these simply aren't viable. Not now. Not for a while. And worse, they are virtually useless when it comes to replacing our biggest source of oil demand, cars. Cars can't run on any of that stuff, at least not economically enough to be practical. But today, thanks to a single groundbreaking advancement, the day we've been waiting for has finally arrived. Or, as Michael Ming, president of Research Partnership to Secure Energy for America, says, we've basically won the lottery. You may ask, what's so great about this new energy? For one, it was first developed and perfected right here in America by U.S. firms. For another, we can produce tons of it at a fraction of the cost of oil. And we can use it to power everything from our houses to our factories and power plants, and yes, even our cars. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, it offers an unprecedented opportunity for investors. Legendary oilman T. Boone Pickens says, "I've been in the energy business my entire career, and I can assure you this 81-year-old has chased down more deals than anyone you've ever met. A lot of those deals didn't pan out. That's just how the game is played. But every now and then a big kahuna comes along. When it does, you better jump on it. Right now, that sort of game changer has landed right in our lap." Exactly what kind of money is at stake? Well, Brad Hall, president of UGI Energy, says there's a bit of a gold rush mentality. But in this case, there's really gold. Again, if the Saudis had their way, this new technology would never see the light of day. But it's not their show anymore. This breakthrough energy source is so perfect, so abundant, so cheap, and ready for market today that the Saudis are quickly losing influence. They know it, and their $130 billion plan is an act of desperation. You see, the idea is to stop using their oil supplies for domestic consumption so they can export even more, likely driving down the price and discouraging the development of alternatives. But it's too little, too late. Over the past few years, this new energy source has won the attention of nearly every oil firm in the world. And not just their attention, but their money as well. As David Rockcharlie, co-head of Energy Investment Banking Group for Jefferies & Company, says, every major oil company is thinking about getting into this, both in the U.S. and globally. Indeed, big oil firms the world over are investing huge sums of money in this breakthrough energy source. Just take a look. Statoil, Norway's biggest energy firm, $250 million. Eni, Italy's major, $280 million. Total, France, $2.25 billion. British Petroleum, $2.85 billion. PetroChina, $3.2 billion. BG Group, Britain, $3.4 billion. Shell, $5.9 billion. Exxon, $40 billion. As Exxon chairman Rex Tillerson remarked, this is not a near-term decision. This is about the next 10, 20, 30 years. Even big coal is getting in on the action. For example, last January, Consol Energy announced they were budgeting $400 million for the acquisition of this new energy source. And as the money flows, the companies that have made this dream a reality and their shareholders are cleaning up. Over the past 3 months alone, a tiny Denver firm called Mainland Resources is up 133%. A Minnesota company called Northern Oil and Gas is up 85% since July. Another tiny firm, Carrizo, is up 113% in that same period. And a company called FX Energy is up 190% since September. Other companies have made huge one-day moves, as big energy firms have swooped in and simply bought them out. Shell and PetroChina teamed up to buy one tiny developer, sending shares up 46% after they announced their offer. Chevron recently did the same thing, paying a 37% premium to shareholders of one tiny firm. And T. Boone himself, along with two private equity firms, just made a $4 billion offer for Exco Resources. Shares spiked nearly 35% on the news. But this is just a tip of the iceberg and merely a taste of the money that could be made as this trend really heats up. Because, as Business Insider recently put it, it's now dead obvious the boom is here. I've just identified a handful of tiny companies that are poised to make the next big moves. Based on the prices big oil has proven it's willing to pay, and the performance of other companies caught up in this trend, these stocks could easily double from here, with the potential to run up 200%, 300%, or more. By now, you might have guessed what has the Saudis scrambling and Americans and energy investors cheering. The New York Times calls it the new gusher. The world calls it shale gas. Thanks to new cutting-edge technologies, we can now access mammoth deposits of natural gas that were unreachable only a decade ago. This access has instantly added huge amounts of energy to our domestic reserves, 30% in just the last few years, according to Newsweek, and we've only just scratched the surface. To give the numbers some context, Dr. Kent Moores, director of the Energy Policy Research Group at Duquesne University, puts it this way: welcome to North America, the new Saudi Arabia of energy. You see, the true miracle of this breakthrough isn't just the discovery itself, but how this newfound abundance promises to reshape our entire energy future. In other words, what are we going to do with it all? Denise Bode, president of American Clean Skies Foundation, remarks, frankly, no other energy source can do so much for America, from fueling our vehicles to generating our electricity. The fact is, America has substantial natural gas to fuel its future beyond this century, and at a price that is likely to remain less than half the price of oil. And the U.S. Department of Energy called it an immediate solution to the nation's energy security needs. I mentioned earlier how this new energy source, unlike every other alternative before it, could satisfy our biggest source of oil demand, transportation fuel. I also mentioned how big oil firms the world over are rushing to tap into this new trend, and that the Saudis themselves have set in motion a truly incredible plan. Like every other technology in the world, the only thing that's been standing in the way of natural gas as a legitimate vehicle fuel has been the supply-demand equation. Well, that equation has just been drastically altered forever. Now, I'm not saying you're going to wake up tomorrow and find a natural gas vehicle in every driveway, but where this trend is really taking shape right now is in the commercial trucking industry. It might surprise you to learn that nearly 1/3 of our oil imports are used to fuel commercial trucks. According to T. Boone Pickens, the Nat Gas Act currently in Congress promised to increase the number of natural gas-powered trucks by 400% over 2007 levels. The new tax bill just passed in January offers credits and incentives for a nationwide build-out of natural gas infrastructure. Pilot J Travel Centers, the largest truck stop operator in America, just signed a deal to put natural gas fueling stations in nearly every U.S. state. And Waste Management, North America's largest commercial waste company, recently announced they're converting their entire fleet to natural gas. It's no wonder that the U.S. Energy Information Administration reports that the use of natural gas as a motor fuel will more than double by 2020, more than triple by 2025, more than quadruple by 2030, and more than quintuple by 2035. The point is, even if you never own a natural gas car in your lifetime, the transition going on in the trucking industry will make an enormous impact all on its own. As Pickens wrote in 2010, truck fleets are refreshed on a 7-year cycle. That means if we begin replacing diesel trucks with natural gas trucks next year, we could have the entire fleet off imported diesel by 2018. That would take care of about half the oil we import from OPEC. And that's not even counting the huge increase in natural gas use for things like power generation, which, according to the North American Electric Reliability Corp, is projected to grow nearly 40% just this decade alone. No wonder former Senator Tim Wirth says this industry has more to gain and a greater contribution to make than any other industry in America, or, for that matter, in the world. But it all starts at the beginning. And at the epicenter of this megatrend are an elite group of energy firms that are exploring, drilling, and producing shale gas at a breakneck pace. In the Marcellus region alone, an energy field that spans from New York to Tennessee, there are literally dozens of tiny players. In Eagle Ford, a huge Texas field, there are dozens more. And this is a resource that spans nearly the entire United States. As I mentioned, in just the past few months, some of these stocks have gone on tremendous runs. Geo Resources up 85%, Warren Resources up 92%, Brigham Exploration up 96%, Gulfport Energy up 100%, Rosetta Resources up 102%, Approach Resources up 230%, But there are many, many, many more out there. Stocks that are still very tiny, still under the radar, and could easily shoot up just as much or more. In the years to come, I foresee one of two things or both happening to these tiny firms. Number one, the boom continues, carrying these stocks to the stratosphere. Number two, as shale gas becomes more and more mainstream, big energy firms scoop up as much property and as many of these firms as they can. That means if you get in soon, you have the chance for the rare double dip. The chance to double, triple, even quadruple your money as these tiny stocks soar. And the potential for a huge one-day gain if these stocks are bought out. And today, you can buy shares of these firms for just a few dollars a piece. If that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, let me tell you about a few of the firms I think will be the next big winners. Penny Shale firm number one. The hottest shale resource in America right now must be the Mammoth Marcellus field that covers virtually half of the East Coast. Penny Shale firm number one owns 40,000 acres in this region and expects to begin producing from its first well in under 6 months, with plans to drill 21 more wells this year. These assets alone, based on the prices big oil is willing to pay, make this tiny firm worth over $550 million. Today, that's 160% more than its current market cap. In other words, if a big oil company buys this company out, it can mean 160% gain overnight for shareholders. That's just half the story. This tiny firm also has extremely valuable assets in Texas' Deep Bossier region, a field so rich in shale gas, they've struck gold on 23 of their first 25 holes. Based on the proven prolific nature of this field, this tiny shale firm could see its production skyrocket over the next 12 months. If that happens, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Encana, the gas giant that owns property right next door, suddenly shows a keen interest. Again, based on their Marcellus acres alone, this tiny company is worth 160% more than its current market cap. Throw in a highly lucrative Texas field right next door to one of the biggest, richest gas firms in the world, and you can see what kind of potential this tiny firm has for early shareholders. That's just for starters. Penny Shale firm number two. Penny Shale firm number two is also drilling in the Deep Bossier, with over 42,000 acres in the area and another 62,500 in nearby Cotton Valley. This land alone, at the price big oil has been paying, is worth $1.5 billion, nearly 10 times what this tiny stock currently trades for. Now, I don't think this stock will run that high, at least not soon. But looking simply at this company's oil and gas assets, by book value alone, it's worth nearly double what it currently trades for. In other words, big oil could, and likely would, pay 100% premium to buy up this company and still be getting a great deal. But I think you could see bigger gains than that. You see, over the past 5 years, this company has increased gas production by 568%. Since 2009, they've taken more than half their rigs offline, slash costs, and still increased production by 40%. I think it won't be long before word really starts getting around and this tiny stock really starts to run. Based on this production and the value the market is placing on other, more well-known firms in this region, this tiny stock would have to run 300% from its current price to be fairly valued. So get in now and you could quadruple your money over the next few years. And finally, Penny Shale firm number three. Most of these tiny shale firms are poised to make big runs, but perhaps the biggest run of them all will be right here with Penny Shale firm number three. They hold thousands of acres in what's largely considered the next huge shale play, a swath of land in the Midwest known as the Niobrara. Experts call it the Neo-Bakken, and it's easy to see why. According to the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, EOG Resources first struck it big here in 2009, hitting a well that reportedly yielded 5 times the industry average in just the first 3 months of flow. Since then, energy firms, big and small, have been rushing to stake their claim. As ABC News reported in October, all this year, companies have been lining up to drill. Penny shale firm number 3 is already there and already drilling. I think it's just a matter of time before Big Oil steps up to the plate with a big offer. This tiny company's land holdings are right next door to gas giant Chesapeake Energy. Based on their land holdings alone, this penny stock is worth at least 60% more what it currently trades for. When you factor in their proved, probable, and potential shale production, company estimates put the value at over 5 times what they currently trade for. Based on what other stocks in this area currently trade for, a 400% pop wouldn't surprise me at all. That means if you get in now, you can make 5 times your money on this little stock. And again, this is only the beginning. Right now, I believe the 3 tiny firms I've just described represent the best opportunity for new investors. These are the best investments you can make today for the potential to see hundreds of percent gains in a relatively short amount of time. But the shale gas trend is only just getting started. And over the months and years to come, I have no doubt there will be other opportunities that offer us the same lucrative prospects. If this sounds like an opportunity you'd like to get in on, I just published a special report that covers everything you need to know, including the hotspots for this trend, the companies involved, which stocks I expect to explode right now, and which ones to look out for in the future. It's called How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend. It's available online right now. And if you're interested, I'd like to give you instant access to this report absolutely free of charge. Here's how to claim your copy. My name is Frank Curzio. I'm the lead small cap analyst at Stansberry & Associates. My primary focus is on penny stocks, the kinds of stocks like I've been describing here that could turn small stakes into giant fortunes very quickly. Early in this presentation, I said that shale gas technology could be the greatest energy breakthrough of our time. But the truth is, it could be the single greatest breakthrough of any kind, period. And I don't make that claim lightly. Prior to joining Stansberry & Associates, I worked for one of the richest and most well-known hedge fund managers on the planet, a name I guarantee you'd recognize. It was my job to find for him the world's best penny stocks, which he would share with millions of people around the world. In addition, I published my research in a monthly advisory ranked by Holbert Financial Digest as one of the best in America, and shared my opinions of these firms on national programs like CNBC's Kudlow Report and The Call, CNN Radio, and Fox Business News. You see, penny stocks are my life. Over the past decade, I've studied tens of thousands of them. And because of that experience, I've found that picking them can be just as safe as picking the biggest blue chip stock, but with much more profit potential. Last year, in fact, according to the Wall Street Journal, the S&P Small Cap Index crushed the regular S&P index by over 100%. Today, I share my recommendations exclusively in a publication called Penny Stock Specialist, where once a month, I report on what I believe are the best opportunities in the small cap space. My latest research has been all about the new megatrend forming in the shale gas industry, as dozens of tiny oil and gas firms race to secure their piece of this golden pie. And I expect that investors who get in quickly could see not one, but many chances to make a lot of money. In my special report, How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend, I lay out the full story, including the full details of another opportunity that I think you'll find very valuable. Step 1 in the shale gas revolution, of course, is getting the stuff out of the ground. With that process going full force, with a number of tiny firms poised to soar, we can move further up the ladder to see who the next big potential winners are going to be. Again, what makes shale gas such an incredible discovery is that natural gas, unlike every other fuel source, can be used today as an economically viable transportation fuel. As I mentioned, it's already being used by commercial fleets across the country, and there are plans in place by municipal, state, and even the federal government to expand its use. But as you know, you can't just pop open your fuel tank and pump in some shale gas. New fuel requires new engines, and the next company I expect to soar over the next few years makes exactly that: engines designed to run on natural gas. In fact, in terms of intellectual property rights and patents, this company is the dominant company in this space, despite the fact that they are still relatively small and virtually unknown. But let me be clear. This is a pure play on natural gas engine technology, and the company, like most small stocks sitting on an impending breakout, will likely be volatile in the near term. But if you're willing to put up a small amount of capital for a chance to double or even triple your money, this is an amazing opportunity. Already, they're a leading supplier of alternative fuel components in Europe and Australia. And recently, they signed deals with firms from Quebec to British Columbia to outfit their trucks with new natural gas engines. They also just signed a deal in Los Angeles to do the same for the buses of the Unified School District, and with Volvo to supply its heavy-duty truck line. They've also got deals in place with Mack Trucks to supply their cement trucks. And perhaps the biggest deal of all, with the Chinese. This tiny company has formed a 30-year joint venture with China's largest heavy-duty engine maker to design and sell natural gas engines for everything from automobiles to power generation and even in shipping, with sales expected to double this year alone. Perhaps now you can see why I think this tiny firm could soon become a worldwide dominator in this space, and why this stock could simply explode over the next couple of years. In fact, if the Nat Gas Act currently in Congress passes soon, this catalyst alone could send the stock soaring with no looking back. In other words, if you're interested, I suggest you get in soon. Again, everything you need to know is in my special report, How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend. And I'd like to give you access to this report absolutely free of charge. It will be among the first things you'll have access to when you take a no-risk trial subscription to my research advisory, Penny Stock Specialist. Is this kind of research right for you? Well, let me tell you a little bit more about it so you can decide. Penny Stock Specialist was created to capitalize on the lucrative penny stock secrets I've uncovered during my 15 plus years as a professional small cap analyst. You see, in addition to emerging opportunities like the shale gas trend I've been describing here today, there are actually a number of regular and proven ways to make money in penny stocks. Secrets I guarantee you won't read about anyplace else. For instance, penny stock strategy, secret suppliers. One penny stock secret that I've used over and over again in my career is uncovering the tiny stocks that supply some of the biggest companies in the world. For example, I know you've heard of Walmart, but have you ever heard of NBTY? In 1999, NBTY landed a deal with Walmart to be their main vitamin and supplement supplier. While Walmart has gone up about 20% since then, shares of NBTY soared over 2,000%. Or what about Wonder Auto Parts? You probably don't know the name, but I bet you've heard of Hyundai. After Wonder Auto inked an exclusive deal with the auto giant to supply their starters and alternators, shares rose over 1,300%. One of the first stocks I recommended to penny stock specialist readers, in fact, was one such company, a tiny semiconductor firm called TriQuint. Again, I bet you never heard of them, but they recently landed an exclusive deal with Apple to supply components for their iPhone. In just 1 year, the stock has doubled. The point is, with secret suppliers, you're leveraging the safety and earnings power of a big name brand by buying the tiny unknown stocks that actually make these businesses run. Right now, there's a similar stock in my portfolio that supplies component parts from everything from HD TVs to tablet computers, with a client list that includes Microsoft, Panasonic, Broadcom, SanDisk, Lenovo, Philips, Alcatel-Lucent, and UT Starcom. I expect huge gains from this stock, and you'll learn all about it as a subscriber to Penny Stock Specialist. Penny stock strategy, government contracts. Another one of my secrets is to find small companies that land big deals with the government. For example, in late 2008, I found a small $7 stock that won a key contract to supply nuclear components, fuels, and processing services to the U.S. Energy Department. In the 9 months after I recommended it, shares popped 285%. DynCorp is another example. The company provides law enforcement training for police officers in foreign countries, deploys translators to the military, and offers maintenance and logistics support for U.S. troops. I recommended the stock in February 2010, noting that readers could see at least 100% upside. And then just 6 weeks later, it was bought out at a 60% premium. Penny stock strategy, joint ventures. See, sometimes penny stocks will partner up with much larger firms in a unique legal arrangement called a joint venture. These relationships often give tiny firms access to the resources of much bigger and richer businesses. For example, a few years ago, I uncovered a small digital production company that entered into a joint venture with one of the biggest movie theater circuits in America, and another deal with one of the biggest theater circuits in China. The deals gave the small firm and its technology access to hundreds of theaters across the world. The stock has gone as high as 203% since I recommended it. I also found a small American chemical company that acquired a much larger firm with access to foreign markets. The acquisition gave the smaller company instant access to huge growth markets like China, Eastern Europe, and Brazil. Since my initial recommendation, the stock is up more than 325%. Currently in Penny Stock Specialist, I've uncovered a deal in the oil service sector that could push one tiny stock up 100% or more, and I plan to find many more opportunities just like it. Penny stock strategy, the upgrade secret. And one of the things that can really make a small stock jump, and I mean 50% to 100% in a matter of weeks, is an upgrade from an analyst at a research firm or an investment bank. I'm sure you've seen this type of thing before. An analyst at a well-known firm like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs might upgrade a particular stock from neutral or hold to buy. This can send a company's share price soaring, especially if it's a very small stock. For example, when Barclays upgraded a little-known company called American Axle and Manufacturing from neutral to buy, shares jumped 29% in 4 days and 63% over the next 5 months. When Amtech Research upgraded a tiny stock called Micron Technology from neutral to buy, shares jumped 65% in 14 days and 122% over the next 2 months. But here's the incredible thing. While working with one of America's foremost hedge fund managers, I've learned a secret way to spot these upgrades before they're made public. As a subscriber to Penny Stock Specialist, I'll tell you all about this amazing secret and which stocks I expect to be upgraded next. The point is, investing in penny stocks can be very safe and extremely lucrative if you know the kinds of tricks of the trade I've learned after a career of studying this market. I've included all these details of all these secrets and more in the Penny Stock Specialist Primer, which you will also be able to access free of charge as a new subscriber. So exactly what can you expect when you sign up? As soon as you sign up, you'll have instant access to my special report, How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend. This report will tell you everything you need to know to get in on what I believe is the biggest energy trend in the world over the next decade or more. I think you'll see not one, but many chances to make a ton of money from this trend, and I'll tell you all about the 4 penny stocks I think could soon explode in price. Then, over the months to come, I'll keep you updated on this trend and tell you all about new opportunities as they arise. You'll also have instant access to the Penny Stock Specialist Primer, which details all of the secrets I've learned in my career as a penny stock analyst. Using these secrets, it's possible to make big, consistent gains month after month in the penny stock world. Over the course of the next year, you'll also receive 12 monthly issues of Penny Stock Specialist. On the third Wednesday of every month, I'll send you by email a full report on my favorite penny stock opportunity in the market. You'll also receive regular portfolio updates with up-to-the-minute briefings on my recommendations. And of course, you'll have access to my full archive of past recommendations, some of which are still buys. And will be among the first to hear about any new opportunities I have my eye on. And here's the best part. You can try Penny Stock Specialist risk-free for the next 3 months. What I mean is, sign up today, and you'll have instant access to everything I've described in this video. You'll also begin receiving my monthly reports and regular email updates. Take the next 3 months to decide if my work is right for you. If so, great. If not, simply let me know and I'll send you a full refund, 100%. I think 3 months will give you plenty of time to decide. And I think if you're serious about making money in penny stocks, my research will give you all the resources and recommendations you'll ever need. But don't just take my word for it. Here are a few of the letters my readers have sent in over the years. Mike L. from New York wrote,
I can't believe that you snagged Frank Corzio for an S&A analyst. I tell you, the guy is one of the best. He knows small caps like nobody else. You've got a winner in Frank Corzio. His advice has made me a lot of money. Congratulations on your coup.
Warren S. of Tawnytown, Maryland says,
Frank, I want to give you a pat on the back. I've never been up over 100% on a stock, let alone in 6 months. You're the best.
Finnegan P. from Bend, Oregon told us,
Frank, your call on IMAX made me over 300% returns. But that's not the real reason I subscribe to your newsletter. You taught me to become a better investor and explain what doing the homework really is. Thank you for all your hard work.
And Kevin H. of Youngstown, Ohio said,
With your help, I have rescued my 401k and my Roth IRA, and I'm now up on both for the year.
So how much does Penny Stock Specialist cost? And how can you get started? Well, before I give you the full details, here's one more opportunity I'd like to share with you as a new subscriber. The emerging trend in shale gas have given us a tremendous opportunity. One that can make you a ton of money over the next few years. Throughout this video, I've talked about the tiny drillers that stand to make their investors rich, and the tiny natural gas engine maker that dominates the next phase of this trend. But there's another play you can make here, a tiny stock that I believe will climb at least 100% over the next 12 months, with the potential to run much, much more than that. What these guys do is simple. They don't go out looking for oil and gas, they don't drill or ship or run pipelines. They simply sell the equipment these guys need to do the job. As you can imagine, with the oil trend in full gear and the shale gas trend just getting started, this tiny company stands to grow exponentially. Their client list includes big oil heavyweights like Chevron, Shell, and ConocoPhillips, as well as big gas giants like Chesapeake and Encana. But perhaps their biggest alliance, the one that could really move this stock, and soon, is with the Saudis themselves. As I said in the very beginning of this video, the Saudis have just set in motion a multi-billion-dollar plan to start drilling for shale gas. Saudi Aramco, the state-owned giant, is leading the way. And the tiny stock I've just uncovered will be selling them the supplies they need. As a new subscriber, I'll show you exactly how to get in on this opportunity right away. The full details are included in How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend. Penny stock specialists normally cost $99 a year, but today, if you sign up through this special invitation, I'd like to offer you an even better deal. 1 full year of my research advisory, including everything I've just mentioned in this video, just for $39. That's 60% off the regular rate. Sign up now and you'll have immediate online access to How to Make a Fortune on the Shale Gas Megatrend with the full details of the 5 tiny stocks that could give you multiple chances to double or more than triple your money. The Penny Stock Specialist Primer, which shows you my time-tested secrets for making big, consistent money in penny stocks month after month. You'll also begin receiving my monthly reports and regular email updates. Even by signing up at this special 60% off rate, you'll still have the next 3 months to decide if my work is right for you. If not, no problem. Just let me know and I'll send you your money back, all of it. Keep the research you've received as my way of saying thanks. As this year unfolds, I expect to find many opportunities to make big money on tiny stocks. I hope you'll join me. So click on the subscribe now button below to get started today.